All right, Shalom, Lord in Christ. This is the Israelite School, Universal and Practical Knowledge under Commander General Yohana. And we have been called to teach the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, or so-called Native Americans, that we are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And one of the things we like to do is continuously tell the truth and go against the grain when it comes to what the world, would have us be rather than what we really are. And right now, while we're looking through, all of the things that are happening around us, it's hard to decide what's real, what's fake, what we're actually supposed to be doing, and who's actually supposed to be leading Black people. If I could I get Ecclesiastes chapter 40 and verse 28? One of the things you'll notice is that right now, Donald Trump is in office. And there's a slew of other things that's going on that we're going to talk about. And one of them is, that little song that's out right now with Kanye West. But we'll go into that in a second. But what I've noticed is that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have had every single thing stripped away from them. And if you do just a small amount of research, you'll notice that for our counterparts that we are second and third, fourth, and fifth class citizens to, they have contingency plans for those people, but they don't have that for us. But instead, we live a beggar's life. We come begging to our oppressor. Even though the scripture said that we would, do so, the Lord still gave us the wisdom of the scriptures and not have to lead a beggar's life. And if you could read that, Ecclesiastes chapter 40 and verse 28.
Khan, Ecclesiasticus 40 and 28. My son, lead not a beggar's life.
My son, lead not a beggar's life. So this is wisdom right here. When I'm out, I do see a lot of homeless people, and that ranges from, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And then you have some that will literally try to sell things. I see our Mexican brothers and sisters on the side of the road and the freeways, the highways and byways, and they're selling everything from, flowers to oranges to, chocolates or whatever. That's not necessarily begging, but standing on the corner with a sign that is asking, for money is a beggar's life. And essentially, that is the spirit that is on the children of Israel right now. We are begging our oppressor, for life itself. We listen to every single thing the oppressor says because they write it in the laws and we believe it's right, even though it's not. Let me get that one more time from the top.
Khan. My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg.
The Most High is saying it's better to die than to beg, because that type of lifestyle just constantly degrades you. You become something of a shell of yourself. If you ever notice the self-esteem that a man has, like let's say that a man is, living in a situation where he's not able to work, he's not able to do anything, and he has to beg, his roommates for everything. That becomes a situation to where, and mind you, the man isn't doing the work of the Lord, because when a man is doing the work of the Lord, he shouldn't even have to worry about the things of the world. But let's say a man is doing nothing and every day he has to beg. After a while, that man is going to, have a complex. There's a scene in the movie from a Baby Boy, and I'm trying to remember I think it was what was the brother's name in that? I think it was like Peanut or something. But anyway, you got Baby Boy, the main character, which is Jody, and then you got his friend.
Pete, I think.
It was like P or something, yeah. And after a while, he says to Jody, you think how come you haven't got me a job? You think I like, asking my woman for everything? You think I like sneaking around the house like a little boy? You think I like pretending to go out and try to pretend like I'm looking for a job? It's not good to lead that type of life, but society has geared us towards that, to where we think we need to ask the oppressor for everything, because the oppressor essentially wants it to be like that. You can't enlarge, fashion, grow your own food. You have to go to a grocery store. So if the oppressor decides to stop selling food to you, what are you going to do? You'd have to beg for it. If the oppressor decides to cut off the water, what are you going to do? You would have to maybe collect rainwater, or some people would try to get it from a stream and end up with some type of disease. We are so dependent on our oppressor. It just doesn't make any sense. We're essentially, have become beggars. If I can get Lamentations 4:17, because right now Donald Trump is in office. Donald Trump has been in office since how long? Since January, right?
Come on.
Not like January. So now the black people who voted for him have realized they've made a mistake. The black people who didn't want him in office, what are you going to do for the next 4 years? You're gonna wait for 4 other years to make a change? You got, Hispanic brothers and sisters who are in a terrible plight right now. Some of them voted for Donald Trump, something didn't. Whatever side you're on, whatever you think that the government is going to do for you, are you going to wait for the next 4 years to make a change in your life? Are you going to continue to rely on man and not God? Because if you look at the way society is going, it's getting absolutely worse and worse and worse. As you look through, you can see that it's like social media, the news, whatever you can see on TV on a screen is showing you a snapshot of what society really is. So you could believe the news when they give you blurbs about what's happening in war. You could believe what's happening, when they give you small little blurbs about black and white and this, that, and the fourth. But no matter what the news says, no matter what lies they tell you, you can see that the world is getting worse. It's getting to the point where social media is an avenue to, help disgrace and discredit black people. And we really don't have anybody, outside of the ISUPK that stands up for black people, that would actually chastise them for their wrongdoing and show them their sins, because that's what you're supposed to do. It says the scriptures say, show my people their sins. That's what you should be doing as a leader. If a woman is thinking about going to the abortion clinic and ending her child's life before it's born, we should let that woman know that is not a thing that she should be doing, that it's essentially a sin in doing it. It's taking the life of a person, a life that does not belong to you. Your contraceptive can be not having sex. We don't have to continue to wait on a nation to save us, because that's never going to happen. Like I said, it's getting worse and worse. They're going to when Donald Trump is dead and gone, somebody else worse is going to be in there.
Exactly.
How many times does the FBI, the CIA, the NSA have to show you that they are enemies of black people? How many times? A lot of money. Matter of fact, if you could read that about Lamentations 4:17, I'm gonna look up something.
This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 17. As for us, our eyes are yet failed for our vain help.
So as of yet, our eyes have failed for our vain help. And vain means false. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, even Caucasians, have looked at Donald Trump as to their vain help. But if you think about who's really being helped whenever a president gets into office, if you could just wow me for a second, what group of people are always getting help no matter what?
The LGBT community.
Okay, we'll go with them, but chiefly more than them and white people who get help chiefly.
Oh, the MLA.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. What Kaash just said is the biblical name for the small hat, the people who say they are from Israel. Those people, no matter what, are going to get help from the United States and from other countries. Even the country that they supposedly escaped from has to give them money and help. But as for us, we fought wars for the United States.
Right.
We don't get help. We literally have made inventions and serve this oppressor for free, but we don't get help. They get upwards of billions and trillions of dollars. There was even a news article about a small town in Texas who by law is not allowed to stop funding on Israel. I just saw a news article about it. The townspeople saw that millions of dollars was going to Israel. They said, we don't want this to go to Israel. We're in office now. We're going to stop the funding. We're going to put it to things that we're supposed to put it to when it comes to Texas. The United States government said no, that there's a law now pretty much that says you have to send this money.
That's crazy.
It's absurd. Like if you think for a second you're going to vote somebody in that is going to have your best interests at heart as a Black, Hispanic, and Native American, and you haven't heard anything about what's happening when it comes to AIPAC, which is pretty much an alliance between the United States and Israel. If you think your vote counts for something, you're wrong. You're a fool. You voted for whoever is going to help Israel. That's exactly what you did. If I could get that Lamentations from the top one more time.
Khan, Lamentations 4:17. As for us, our eyes are yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
No sweat.
Keep going.
If you could.
18. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come.
So if and this is something that has happened time and time and time again, whether we were in Egypt, whether we're in America, we look at a place that's not going to save us. But when you have Black people that actually try to stand up for each other, or if this leader is going to lead Black people in a different way other than where the United States government wants them to be led, what happens to that leader? They get assassinated.
Right.
Martin Luther King was leading people in the direction, even though it wasn't a direction the Lord wanted us to go into, it was a direction that the oppressor didn't want to go into. After, he started messing with the money and started saying different things and was quote unquote, leading us into a burning building. After that, it was over. When, and this might be a little bit of conspiracy theory, but when never mind, because that's JFK. We'll touch on that at a later time. I was just going to briefly talk about how JFK started, looking into what was going on with Israel and, other things, I think possibly nuclear weapons. And later on, he ended up being assassinated. But when Black people are led by somebody, like you can look at many things, the Black Panthers, like Huey P. Newton. You can look at, different people who have tried to help Black people or lead them in the opposite direction of where white America wants us, or the government rather, and they end up, destroyed or unalived, and Black people end up worse off for it. When you look up, what the government is going to do for our people, and I mention that because of COINTELPRO, because when Black people do anything out of the ordinary, the United States government is going to regulate funds for them to be spied on. They're going to, write things into the, the laws to where they can, invade our privacy. There's not any help coming. There's just going to be eyes on you. That's all it is. Let me see if I can read some of these stats. It says overall, the U.S. intelligence budget is substantial. So the intelligence budget goes into a lot of it spying on American citizens. The annual U.S. intelligence budget has doubled from approximately $40 billion per year in the late 1990s to $80 billion per year in 2020. The intelligence agency, which does a lot of evil, is just spending money to spy on you. And there's many articles that you could look up on that. If you could I get John 21 and 15? Because the Lord wants Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to be there for each other. It wants us to feed each other, whether that's in the wisdom of the Most High or actual food. Right now, have you seen the uproar with Kanye West and that news? Well, I showed you a little bit of it, but before that, you probably really hadn't heard too much about it. But there's an uproar of a song that Kanye made. It's a catchy song too. But in the song, Kanye says, Heil Hitler is what he said. So he's rhyming. He says, they don't understand the things I say on Twitter. Then he says, nigga, Heil, and then proceeds to say the name of Hitler. And the song is catchy, and some people they take it as a joke.
Right.
Some people they're enraged about it. I'm sure the people in the Jewish community don't appreciate it, but at the end of the day, none of that really matters.
Exactly.
Kanye West hasn't done anything good for Black people, unless I'm mistaken, has he? Like, the song is catchy. Kanye's going crazy online. He talked about something with his cousin. I really didn't even feel like mentioning that today, but he talked about some sexual things as a child with his male cousin. And I know Kanye is a man that is deeply hurt by things that have happened in his life. But at a certain point in time, we have to take ownership of what we can and we cannot do. Kanye should take ownership of the fact that he can't lead Black people. He's too self-invested. He's selfish. If I could, let's read John 21:15.
This is the book of John, chapter 21 and verse 15. So when they had dined, Yahushua said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these?
So Christ is at a place where Christ is in a place where, a state where he's asking. You said he asked Peter. Reread
Simon
that.
Peter,
Simon Peter. He asked Peter, and continue what he says, because he's pretty much charging him. He's asking him a question, but it's pretty much like a check-in, like, yo, like, and it's important what he's saying because he says it multiple times. Continue.
He says, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? So
do you really love me? You testing somebody, you charging them with something like, yo, do you really love me? Continue.
He said unto him, yes, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee.
Right. The answer was yes, I do love you, Lord. He asked him, he's going to say some other things. Ask him again. Go ahead.
He said unto him, feed my lambs.
So feed my lambs. So who is Christ talking about? Like, there's sheep, there's lambs. These are all metaphors that Christ uses for what?
People.
For people. For whose people?
Israelites.
Israelites. So on one hand, you have famous people. And then on the other hand, you have people like Christ who don't have the interests of themselves, but they have the interests of the people at heart. Continue.
Khan. 16. He said to him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He said unto him, yes, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, feed my sheep.
Feed my sheep. So he asked him the same thing. He's like, yo, if you love me, feed my sheep. A lot of people will say they love Christ, but then they'll have models out there that say it be the closest ones to you. What Christ say when things were going wrong? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, so-called, which are actually Israelites, were turning on Christ. On the cross, what did he say?
He said, like, forgive them for they know not what they do.
Yeah, he didn't look up at God and say, you see, it be the closest ones to you.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
But that's what we do as rich people. We further deteriorate the relationship that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans could have.
Right.
Because all we are invested in is our self-hurt. But the selfishness is not going to get us anywhere. While you have people who are upset, the same people that are upset with Kanye about the song that he made, the Small Hats, they know how to stick together.
Yes, they do.
They know how to cut everybody off, even the people who have the same genetics as them, because we'll get into it, but those Small Hats are literally just Caucasians who are the descendants of people who decided to take Judaism and a Jewish culture and make it their own.
Right.
It's no difference, but they know how to stick together. That's what separates them. They know how to weave themselves internally into the United States government and make sure their people are taken care of through funds, through laws, through media, through perception. But we use the same avenues that they own, and we disgrace one another because of selfishness.
Right.
Continue.
Verse 17. He saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me?
Right.
And he said unto him,
So
Lord.
if I could, he's like, yo, he keeps asking me, like what would you be thinking if Christ was there with you and he was like, yo, do you love me? Yo, feed my sheep. You would feel like you're like, man, I must be doing something wrong, or man, he don't believe me. Like there would be something that would cause you grief, like Peter is describing. But Christ is just charging Peter, and he's also charging us to do the same thing, because Christ already knew that these words were going to be read like everywhere from the mouths of those who served the Most High. The mouths of the descendants of the Israelites were going to read these words and know that our people were in a bad state and we needed to feed the sheep. He's charging us as well. Continue.
Khan. Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee.
Right.
Yahweh said unto him, feed my sheep. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself and walkest whither thou wouldest. But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee and carry thee whither thou wouldest not.
Right. And Salakia, we can stop there. And what we need to get in our heads is, not only is this nation not going to save us, but famous people are going to have, by large amounts, their own interests at heart. You might have one or two who might, stick their neck out or put something, of a whisper. Black people was going crazy when Kyrie Irving and Kanye were saying black people are Jews.
Right.
What did that amount to?
Nothing.
A little bit of media frenzy. The Jewish community kind of went like this. They got nervous a little bit. And then they used their social media platforms, their influence, and this, that, and the fourth, their power within the NBA and the music industry to shut that down. Because Kanye and Kyrie, even though they're rich, are just individuals.
Exactly.
They haven't, done Zephaniah, what was Zephaniah 2:1?
Khan.
They haven't gathered with their people. They are individuals. And that's the power of being together. The Most High charged us with doing that, just like Christ charged us with feeding the sheep. And we're not doing that right now. That's something that we need to do. If I could, let me get James 14 and 18, or Salakia. James 2:14 through 18. Because can you imagine if blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that had money, if they like siphoned off a little bit of it and made programs and think tanks and had organization enough to give us safety nets, you see, we will be way better off if we used our influence. Because what's the worst that can happen if Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans had their own television stations? Like they might be able to shut some things down, but after a while, it would I'll just use this as an example. When the civil rights movement saw black people getting terrorized, when people saw the civil rights movement on TV, people from different countries and, people around the globe and the country as a whole, when they saw that people were flying across the street with high pressure hoses, being attacked, walking home from school by German shepherds, once it's in the public eye, you can see that, okay, this is wrong. If they continue to do stuff to us, and you can clearly see that we have our own things, but they're destroying it, after a while, they'll have to take a different avenue. It won't be as successful. Right. But we don't even have the opportunity to get shut down, because when somebody has money, they put it towards their own interests. They don't feed the people. They give us entertainment. They give us more evil and mischief things in front of our eyes that develop in our minds that we carry out. For instance, Tyler Perry. Let's look up how, and he just popped in my mind. Let's look up how many acres Tyler Perry owns for his studio. Good night. All right, let me see. It says this is an AI overview. Let me see if I can get through this. Hopefully AI is not messing things up. But let's see. It says Tyler Perry owns a significant amount of land, including his 330-acre Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta. He also purchased 37 additional acres to expand the studio. Additionally, he owns a large estate in Douglasville, Georgia, spanning over 2,100 acres, including a $100 million mansion. So they mentioned his studio of 330 acres. 330 acres is outlandish in itself. But then it says in Douglasville, Georgia, he has more land spanning over 2,100 acres, 2,100 acres.
Damn.
The average yard that a person owns is how many acres? Like a half, maybe a quarter acre?
No.
Let's see. Matter of fact, I want something better. A city block typically covers around 2 acres.
Damn.
Yeah, like he has 2,100 acres. He has 2,100 acres. So how many city blocks does he have? Like he owns like what, 1,000 city blocks pretty much?
Yeah.
Like what I don't like, and that's why we have to hear those words and know to feed the sheep. That's why it's hard for a rich man to make it into heaven. That's why in the scriptures it says it's pretty much easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to make it into heaven, because you're already dealing with stuff and you're serving yourself anyway. But once you get rich, man, you're going to serve every single pleasure you can if you don't got your mind right.
Exactly.
It's difficult. It's near impossible. And Kanye is one of those people. So like, what did we leave off at?
We are on James 2:14.
James 2:14. Let me see. James 2:14. If you could, because we don't need inspiration. We don't need kind words. We don't need just like simple prayers when it comes to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans being homeless, on drugs, and being, products of this, this detestable society. We don't just need that. Like I remember watching on TV and never understanding when some rich person like Jay-Z or some other rapper would say like, I'm being inspirational by, hopping in a Benz or a Maybach and riding through the hood. How is that inspiration? Like I can't, like if I'm a brother that lives in the slums, I live in the trenches, and I barely have enough to eat. I gotta share, 4 wings and fried rice with 3 other people.
Right.
And you pull past in a Maybach, a car that costs more than 100 apartments. That's inspiring. That's what that is. That's inspiring.
Crazy, right?
That's gonna make me sell more drugs. You're inspiring me to do evil. It's just going to make me rob more people. It's going to make me do more evil things, because the evil is the shortcut to the money. The greed that's going to come with wanting to have that Maybach is going to cause me to do it. It's not going to inspire anybody to really do anything great. At the least it will do is inspire people to get on records and music albums and lie so they can sell you a dream so they can have that Maybach and further to destroy the hood. You're going to roll through the hood with a Maybach being a rich person, and all it's going to do is leave a trail of dead bodies. That's all it's going to leave. And people that are literally addicted to drugs. Salaki, if you could. Unless you had something to say. You had an inquisitive look on your face.
Just rubbing my beard.
No sweat. No sweat.
This is the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 14. What doeth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him?
So what it's saying is, what does it profit me? Like let's use me as an example. What does it profit me if I have no money, if I'm hungry, I have no clothes? What does it profit me if you just come through with inspiration and nothing else? If you're a rapper and you come through with inspiration, if you just come through with a prayer as a pastor or an imam, and you just say, I pray you to have food in your stomach, I pray you to have clothes on your back. When you have the actual means as a rapper, or you have the means as a pastor with all that tithe money to give me what I need, the food and the clothing, when you have the ability to get that eviction notice off of my apartment door, you gonna give me prayers? You gonna give me fumes from your Maybach as you pass by? What the hell are they talking about? That's good, Salaki. You can read that from the top.
Khan. James 2:14. What doeth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him?
Right. I'm gonna go ahead and read that while you take care of that, the water. So what does it really profit a man if there are physical things that the body needs, right? Like faith without works is dead. There are miracles that are going to take place, but the most high instilled it on Christ to tell us to feed the sheep. Let me get James 2:14 so I can continue to read that, if I could. Hey, shalom, sis. So this is the book of James, chapter 2, verse 14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If you don't have works behind that faith, people claim to be spiritual, but really you're only carnal. The reason why you won't put forth those works as a rich, selfish person or as a lying pastor is because you just don't believe. You don't have the actual faith. Verse 15. If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled. Like the brother is starving.
Right.
You have the money to help him. The brother doesn't have clothes. You have an extra coat you can give him. Tyler Perry got 2,100 acres
Exactly.
in one place, 330 in the next. He's got any car he could imagine that he could drive, all the food, even the abominable delicacies that he could eat.
All of it.
And you can't take a portion of that money and create something that can generate money continuously.
Right.
Like, just think of it this way. Maybe if you gave all your money up, you would have nothing left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how much, and I'm just using Tyler Perry as an example, but let's use him as an example. Let's see how much. Matter of fact, we'll go back to Kanye because we using acres of land, this, that, and the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't there a farm on that land? He's got the resources. He's got the money. He can hire somebody who knows how to do it. There's people that have the know-how. They just don't have the resources. Let's see. How much is Kanye West worth? All right. In 2024, he's estimated at 2.15 billion. Billion. 2.15 billion. I don't know how much he's lost with Adidas and the new stuff that he's done. But all of these rich people, they have nothing for us. Absolutely nothing for us. Can we read? Can you pick back up on James 2:14 one more time?
Okay.
Because what is it going to profit? Like I said, if somebody comes through with inspiration, like I hear people talk about how they want like when Barack Obama, an African, got into the office, black people thought we were going to be inspired by seeing a black face in the Oval Office,
Mm-hmm.
and that was going to be the catalyst for change. What did it change? More Mexicans were deported.
Uh-huh.
More black men became gay. More women aborted their children. More people went into homelessness. More people and I'm talking about black people, got sexually transmitted disease.
Right.
What were we inspired to do? We were inspired to be evil. That just like I said, when a person comes through in a rich neighborhood, even with a 75 to a $300,000 chain, what are you inspired to do? Snatch it off that brother's neck?
Exactly.
Snatch it off an easier target's neck? Sell more heroin and fentanyl? Go ahead.
And when our celebrities flex inside our neighborhoods like that, the only thing that's reminding them is that you're poor. You know what I mean? You're poor and you're homeless. That's it.
And what's the tagline that they use in their songs? Or what's the quote from these rappers they often say when they come through? You might be able to wow me. What's like the standard thing that these men say?
They say, I don't know, they made up the hood.
No, they're gonna say they're gonna come through talking about they're inspiring you, but then they're gonna say, I'm a F your B.
Oh.
All the time.
True.
How many rappers do you on a positive note, they try to say they're inspiring us to do all these great things, but then they say, man, I'm gonna come through and F your B.
That facts. Hold on, Slack.
Go ahead. No, sir.
Because you bring it out 70 because they're coming with all the money inside the hood.
Right.
And they know women like money. So they're just gonna get they're gonna take your girl.
What are you inspired to do now?
Kill them. Unalive them.
Unalive them. You're inspired to do more evil. They didn't come through and create programs. Like I was about to say, Kanye is worth 2 billion. Forget it. Let's get Tyler Perry. Because Kanye is saying they don't understand the things I say on Twitter.
Right.
And then followed by it, he says, nigga, Heil Hitler. Why? He's mad at the Jewish community and for his own selfish reasons, instead of like putting black people on the forefront of being represented right, or given, you know, the Most High an anthem, given Christ an anthem, even King David. You go and mention Hitler. You say Heil. I don't want to keep saying I want to get banned.
Right.
But what all right, I'll put it this way. The little bit of money that I see people have in here,
right,
we give to each other. We do food drive. I done seen sisters, you know, take their time during certain things, and you know, or spend their money on food for people that are strangers, that are our people. That like we take our funds, we literally have to feed our own people.
Right.
But we make hundreds, they make billions, and you worried about us not understanding the things that you're saying on Twitter, and you want to glorify some monster, not because of the things that he did to the Jewish community, but what about the things that he did to us? Like, there were concentration camps in Germany for black people too. I don't know if everybody knew that, and we'll get into it in a second. But this book right here is showing black people that are emaciated and starving, and these are people that were tortured by Hitler. And Kanye is talking, and the song's catchy, but you couldn't have made an anthem to glorify the Most High. Like I said, maybe glorify Christ, King David, or even just, you know, defend and lift up black people. Because I didn't say that it's not inspirational for music, because there's music can literally get into your psyche and cause you to do things after a while, if you're hearing it over and over again. Like if there was a positive song for how sisters should treat each other, like if there was something positive and it was pretty much saying the next time I see a sister, I'm gonna do something nice for her, but it was said in a catchy way, and it was sister to sister. That would, after a while, if more women made songs like that, that would be a good thing. Absolutely. Sisters would take a hold of that. If brothers, like, and this is the thing, like when you see brothers on the street and it's just y'all, but you're around a whole bunch of people from other nations, sometimes you do, hey, what's going on, brother? Yeah, we in here. Like, you know, to speak to another brother because y'all are outnumbered. But why isn't there many songs on what brothers should do when it comes to seeing each other? How? Like, I'm sorry for saying it, but Kanye is wearing swastikas and doing everything else, but he's not feeding the sheep. Exactly. He's too self-centered. He's selfish. If I could get that verse,
17.
What is it?
Second John.
Matter of fact, James. No, we'll go to James because we already read John 21. If we could.
So I'm on
James 2 and 14.
Khan. This is James chapter 2 and verse 14. What doeth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him?
So if you have faith without works, how can it save you? Let's use this analogy. If you have faith that the Most High can save you and there's a boat right next to you, you should swim to the boat.
Exactly.
The Most High is providing the conditions for you to get to there. You're going to have to work to get to the boat. You don't just stay in the water and drown. There's paddles in the boat. The land is going to be accessible. As soon as you start paddling, you can take a rest. You don't just do nothing, right? Because you won't be saved. If you want to be saved, you got to make your election assured. Exactly. You have to do the works to be saved. Right. You have to do what Christ laid out for us to do. He got it from the Most High. Just do it. Just do it. Feed the sheep. Keep the laws, the statutes, and commandments. Treat Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans like you got some sense in how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Like I see the detestable ways that we treat each other on social media. I don't see too many videos where I don't see Black people tearing each other down. Like in ways, even the small subliminal stuff when it says like even the one must go, when you'll have like 3-4 Black artists and it'll be music artists and it'll say one has to go on all their work.
Right.
Why are we doing that? Do you ever see some Caucasian person putting up the Beatles, a band called Queen, and Michael Bolton and saying one has to go on all their work? They would be like, no, I like all of it. Right. Billy, why do we have to do that? I like all of it.
Like all of it.
No, but we will do that. We'll take Boys II Men. What's another singing group out there that was around that time? Jagged Edge, 112, knowing damn well we like all their music, but now we have to disgrace one of them now. Even though sometimes these people, or in most cases, don't amount to a hill of beans, but that's still something that we're putting in our minds. Like we have to be in competition with each other instead of working together. We can continue that verse.
Khan. When a man said he have faith and have not works, can faith save him?
Hell no.
If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food,
right,
and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled.
This ain't magic.
Right.
If a homeless brother asks me for something to eat and I have the money, I always, especially now, feel obligated to give it to him. I know that money most likely is going to come back, and if it doesn't, the angel saw it.
Exactly.
Christ saw it. And then that brother is good to go. He's good to go. But I can't just say, yo, brother, I'm gonna pray with you that you do get food. That's fine. Pray with him. But walk your ass in the store and get him something to eat and come back out with it.
Right.
Go ahead.
Because that's exactly what Christians do.
Right.
They'll take your tithe money and then be like, God's going to bless you with something better. Knowing you need the money, you know what I mean, to have a better life. You know what I mean? This is crazy shit.
Like money is a defense. It's okay to get money. The love of money is the problem. Exactly. The greed that we end up having for it. The point to where we think we have to take and be in that survival mode. There's going to be no survival when you're an individual with money.
Exactly.
It's not going to work. Shannon Sharp, Bill Cosby, Puff Daddy. You're doing the wrong thing and you're alone. You don't have the support of all your people. What are we doing when these people get in trouble on Black social media? Making fun of them. Exactly. You don't have us. You're doing wrong and you're not feeding us. Continue.
Khan. Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding, ye give them not these things which are needful to the body. What doeth it profit?
Like you didn't give them what they actually needed. It's 32 degrees outside.
Right.
That brother has less than a sweatshirt on. It's been 3 days. The brother hasn't eaten. Like the brother hasn't eaten. Like if I'm not mistaken, Salakia, didn't I see? Weren't you at a food drive and you went ahead and gave somebody the last of something that you could have possibly ate?
Yeah, my gloves.
Right. Like round of applause for the sister. Because I notice when brothers and sisters do something like that, because it's rare. What the sister said was she gave someone her gloves and the last of the food, because sometimes when we're out there feeding the people, we have food designated for us, because 9 times out of 10 we're rushing out, we don't have food, we didn't eat breakfast, we're going to eat while we serve as well. But what the sister did was she gave the last that she could have ate to the brother or sister, because she's like, you know what, I could eat later. You know what, the gloves are going to help the brother or the sister out more than it's going to help me. And that's what we should be doing.
Exactly.
And in that fashion, the sister has way more, sense and way more goodness in her than a pastor does, or a rich person like Tyler Perry. You're going to say something?
Nah.
No sweat. We can read that part one more time just to get the fullness of it.
Khan. Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding, ye give them not these things which are needful to the body. What doeth it profit? Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone.
It even so, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. If you have faith, but you aren't willing to do the things that come with having faith, it's dead. It doesn't matter. It makes no sense to do so. Like, you can't say that you believe in Christ, but you do none of the things that he says.
Right.
Like, you can't say you believe in the Most High, but you won't follow any of his commandments. And some will say, well, I can't follow all the laws. Well, tell us, which one can't you follow? I have to know. You know what I'm going to think. I'm going to think it's the goat.
It's the goat.
I'm going to think they want to sleep with the goat. As soon as they say they can't follow the laws, like, oh, you want to sleep with that goat, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you're not allowed to do that in the scriptures. You can't sleep with an animal. You can't. So if it's that law, you might need to take medicine. If that's the one you're having problems with, you might need to take it. Salakia. All right, let me get if I could, let me get where are we at? It's the one that says when a rich man speaks. I think that's in Ecclesiasticus. Yeah, 13 and 23. And let me see. Let me go ahead and shout out the chat. We got oh wow, that's an awkward name right there. Let me see. We
Pastor. Hallelujah.
Pastor Huckleberry.
Uh-oh. Thank you, Jesus.
Pastor Huckleberry. I do declare. And yeah, I don't know. I doubt that's the person's real name. I don't think I know too many Huckleberries. But there's a scene from a movie where a pastor, and this is a little off topic. I don't know if you ever seen what is it? Tombstone? I think it's Tombstone with Val Kilmer. I believe, but it's a Western movie. And one of the other guys is about to be unalived by a faster gunslinger. Mm-hmm. And then Val Kilmer shows up because he's the fastest gun in the West. And when he lifts up his hat to see who it is, he's like, I'm your Huckleberry. Like, I'm the guy you wanted to see. Maybe Pastor talking about that. Because Huckleberry sounds weird nowadays. There's some cuckleberries out there nowadays, too. But we also got Darlene Thompson, Shalom Yahweh Shamar Thumb by Shem Yahweh Shai. So we got Pastor Huckleberry as well. He said, what it do? Pastor Huckleberry, feed the sheep if you could. Yeah, let's go ahead and read that.
Khan. This is Ecclesiasticus, chapter 13 and verse 22.
Because this is Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's listening to what he said. He said they don't understand the things I say on Twitter, which we do. We understand what he said on Twitter.
Clearly.
He said he put his mouth on a man's genitalia. I understood that perfectly.
Kids.
I understood it.
Cousin. Yeah.
He said a number of things. He said he loves whores. I understand. I don't identify with what he's saying. I don't support it.
Hell no.
But it's not something hard to be understood like the writings of Paul. I understood it.
Clearly.
And if you're wondering about what he said with the man's member and all that, what happened? Yeah, what happened was he said he had found some magazines.
Yeah,
I
some
believe.
like dirty
Dirty magazines when he was a kid, and then he acted out what he had saw in the magazines on his cousin.
Little cousin.
Yeah,
Since he was 6.
this was his little cousin
Yeah.
that he did it to.
Yeah.
And he, yes, and he did it up until the age of like
14.
14 or something like that. Yeah, it was crazy.
Crazy word.
Was he in therapy or who did he share this with?
He shared it with Twitter.
It's online.
Yeah. Yeah, he shared it. They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. We understood.
That's shocking. That's something that maybe he needs to heal from.
I believe he does. Right. And if I could, I was saying earlier, you know, when people go through these things and they are, you know, traumatized like this, what they have to do is get that healing before they can go ahead and try to lead other people and then be in their own selfishness. Because Kanye, for all intents and purposes, I've seen him change over time. Haven't you seen him change? Like, it was weird. Like, his music used to be a lot different,
Right.
and now it's completely self-serving. So when somebody is like that and they're struggling, they got to step down from that leadership role because the influence that you're having on people is not good.
Well, this is my thoughts on it. You know what I mean? Since we found out that he revealed that he's been doing like weird deviant acts since he was a kid,
Right.
I think he was just hiding it well. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then once you got the money, like it was just only a short matter of time
Before it came
before
out.
it
Right.
fully exploded.
It's a lot going on with that man, whether it be drugs, whether it be medicines that are being prescribed to him by somebody who's trying to see him fall. Whatever he has going on, we can't look to Kanye as a leader, because the scriptures will tell you when a rich man speaks, everybody. We're going to read it now. When a rich man speaks, everybody listens.
Right.
They listen to him. He's rich, worth $2-something billion, and people are bobbing their heads to that song. You got people that are saying like, "Yo, Hitler was terrible. Kanye is tripping, but man, that song slaps." That's what people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
Khan, Ecclesiasticus chapter 13 and verse 23. When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue.
I like this scripture because it is literally perfect in the way it describes, and all the scriptures are, of course, but this one is easy to be understood. We understand this. I could put this on Twitter. Everybody understand it. When a rich man is saying something, when he's kicking game, like when Gilly the Kid is saying, remember I was talking about Gilly the Kid last week, even though he was wrong. When Oprah says something, when Elon Musk, Donald Trump, these are all rich men. When they say something, people hold their tongue, which means they stop to listen. They go, wait a minute, let me listen to this, because he's speaking right now. He's rich. Since I have respect to a person, or what he's saying could benefit me monetarily, which it won't. It's not gonna. What he's saying is not going to benefit you, money wise. But they hold their peace and they listen. Continue.
Khan. Every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds.
Yo, did you hear what he said?
Uh-huh.
He said they don't understand the things I say on Twitter. And they just extol it to the clouds. It means they hold it in high esteem because he has money. But when I speak, continue.
But if the poor man speak,
man, I'm poor.
They say, what fellow is this?
They like, who is this man talking on this podium in this class right now? What is he talking about? If you ain't talking about money, you ain't talking to me.
Right.
Continue.
And if he stumble,
If I mess up a little bit while I'm talking, they're gonna make fun of my speech. If I mess up in my life a little bit, if something happens with even more with my finances, what will they do?
They will help to overthrow him.
They don't want to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, because Kanye is rich. He's famous. Tyler Perry, he's rich. He's famous. There's a whole lot of horrible people who do things, and because they're rich, they get away with it. One of them, which I is a detestable human being. He's one of those ones. It's Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know about Charlie Sheen, but he's a rapist. And he had graped. I'm using that word because you can't say assaulting in a sexual manner in certain ways with the R word, but he allegedly had graped one of the child stars, from the 90s, a young man by the name of Corey. And when he came out with it, when Corey came out with it, you had people on national television saying things in a manner of, well, do you know what you're saying will do to the industry? Not worried about the trauma that the young man went through, not worrying about this, that, and the fourth, but because the people are powerful and have money in the industry. Because Charlie Sheen is powerful and had money. Charlie Sheen was, having sexual intercourse with women while having HIV.
Damn.
And he was raping young boys. Poor people can't get away with that type of stuff. Like, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue. Well, I'm gonna get Corey's full name, because I've talked about Corey before. Feldman. I know it was one of the Coreys.
Where is Charlie Sheen now?
I don't know. He's got enough money to
Should be in jail.
right. He should be, but he's got money. Let me see. Corey Feldman. So these are movies, and I'm kind of telling my age, but he was in movies like Stand By Me, The Goonies, The Lost Boys. He was in one of the Friday the 13th. And these are movies from the 80s and maybe some late 90s movies. I really only remember them from the 80s. But that boy was sexually assaulted by Charlie Sheen. And nobody had Corey's back. Let's continue, because we talking a little bit about Kanye West. If I could, can I get Philippians 2:16? And there are, even though people, they like what Kanye's doing, there's a group of people that's mad at Kanye. Like I said, the Jewish community is mad at Kanye. And for all intents and purposes, they should be, right? Mm-hmm. If there was a leader in a group of people who did something to your people, you have every right to be mad at them, right? Or am I in the Twilight Zone? So apparently, the small hats were put in concentration camps by Hitler. And there were, things that were happening. They were being thrown out of the country. They were being, robbed of their money, this, that, and the fourth. And we won't get into why the Germans and Hitler did this. We'll just say it happened. There were things that were being done to them. And now they're saying that they are mad about it. And they are mad at Kanye. Kanye is using this for his own selfish purposes because he's mad at the Jewish community. But let's read Philippians 2:16. Kanye's mad at the Jewish people. So this is what, instead of worrying about his people as a whole, he's dealing with his own selfish endeavors and wasting his time glorifying Adolf Hitler. But let's continue.
This is the book of Philippians, chapter 2 and verse 16. Holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Christ,
Right.
that I have not run in vain.
So who is this speaking? If we in Philippians, this is the accounts of Paul. No sweat. So this is Paul. Continue.
Khan. Neither labored in vain. Yea, and if I be offered upon the sacrifice and service of your faith, I joy and rejoice with you all.
So what is he saying here? He's saying, if I have to be unalived or hurt to do the work of Christ, like Christ was, unalive and hurt, and I'm gonna have to do it. It's for the people. Remember when Christ was saying he wished he could be accursed?
Uh-huh.
And what was that, Romans 9?
Yes.
This is given that same vibe. Continue.
18. For the same cause also do ye joy and rejoice with me. But I trust in the Lord Jesus to send Timotheus shortly unto you, that I may also be of good comfort when I know your state.
The people are in a bad state. Timothy is going to be sent to the people.
Right.
To do the will of the Most High, to do the work that Christ wanted us to do. But let's see what he has to say about the black leaders. This is what the black leaders of today are.
Verse 20. For I have no man like-minded who will naturally care for your state.
There's nobody right now that's going to naturally care for your state. Nobody. In order to actually care for black people the way they need to be cared for, you gotta be born again.
Exactly.
With all of the brainwashing, with all of the social media, with everything around us, you have to be born again to care. Because every time I see something on social media, which a lot of it is not how we actually interact with each other, but it's how we're portrayed, I see men punching each other's heads off.
Right.
Women snatching each other bald. I see, just reality TV that just makes us look like clowns. I hear music from Sexy Red that just tries to just downgrade our women. I see black men painting their fingernails in the NBA, possibly the NFL, I don't know. But I see all of these things that go against the Most High, all of these things that strip women of their femininity, all of the things that strip men of their masculinity. And to a person who wouldn't be in the fold of the Most High in Christ, I might be like, you know what? To hell with these people. They're a lost cause. I need to worry about myself.
Right.
Because it be that's the motto with everybody. But like I said, Christ didn't say that on the cross. He said, forgive them, Father, for what they know not what they do. If I could, let's get back to who's mad at Kanye and what I said. I said they're mad at Kanye because he's mentioning Hitler. Kanye, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to do that. But I'll just read a little bit about how Hitler treated black people and why Kanye shouldn't do that. Because the enemy of your enemy is not your friend.
Exactly.
If you feel like the small hats are your enemy, Hitler doesn't become your friend.
At all.
Because Hitler despised and hated blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans too. Let me see. Let me see where I should start for the sake of time. It says, let me see, where should I start? All right. And while one might, and so this is the book that I'm reading is Germany's Black Holocaust, 1890 to 1945. And we are on page 103. It says, and while one might initially surmise that at least being born and raised in Germany and speaking fluent German would have had some leverage with the Nazis, introspective of color of one's skin, one would be terribly wrong, as demonstrated in the case of Massaquoi. Stunningly, Hitler made this point even clearer. So what the author of this is saying, or the writer is saying, is you would think just because you're born in Germany, even if you're black, if you learn German, if you assimilate, you would be, treated like a citizen. But the writer says you would be wrong. And Hitler makes his point clear. And this is talking about the black people that Hitler was disgracing and torturing and unaliving. It says, but it is a scarcely conceivable fallacy of thought to believe that a Negro or a Chinese, let us say, will turn into a German because he learns German and is willing to speak the German language in the future, and perhaps even give his vote to a German political party. Such Germanization is in reality a de-Germanization. He's saying if we let Black people come in, we are taking away from ourselves. And that's just a small part that I want to read so you could get a quote directly from Hitler on how he feels about Black people. But the Black people, we didn't even know this, were in Germany. And they were treated like this. They look like skeletons on this screen. But Kanye is saying, nigga, Heil Hitler. Salakia. That's what he said. Those are not my words. And we do not agree with what Kanye's saying. Even though people out in the world are saying that the song slaps, you know, the message that he's saying is absolutely wrong. So even though they're saying it slaps. So the song they're mad about, right?
Right.
Bad things happen to the Jewish people from the Germans, right?
Right.
People should be outraged about the song if they're Jewish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then other people that agree that it was bad and it's not a joke, right?
Right.
But what about the Star Spangled Banner, written by, what's his name? Francis Keith Scott, or Keith, what is his name? Francis.
I think you got it right. Francis Keith Scott.
Keith Scott. Let me get it exactly right. Yeah, Francis Keith Scott, I believe. Let me see. They even made a bridge after this man. The Star Spangled Banner by Francis Scott Key. Let's read a part that they took out so they could trick Black people into singing along. So you're mad at Kanye and you want us to stand and put our hands over our hearts for the Star Spangled Banner. You want us to be patriotic. But when Francis said their blood has washed out their foul footsteps pollution, that's a lot of blood. That's a lot of blood. He's speaking about Black people in this, and I'll prove it. It says, no refuge could save the harrowing slave from the terror of flight. He's saying, even if you run, the blood is going to wash out your footsteps. That's how much blood it's going to be. It says, no refuge could save the harrowing slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, and the star-spangled in triumph doth wave, or the land of the free and the home of the brave. We shouldn't be mad like the Jewish people are mad at Kanye for making this song. We shouldn't see Francis Keith Scott as our own personal Hitler, as well as any other slave master that took the slaves' teeth out of their mouth and made them his own. Who did that?
George Washington.
George Washington took slaves' teeth, great slave women. But we supposed to be mad at Kanye? Yeah, I think he's a goofball for making a song glorifying Hitler when this was done to our people by Hitler. But I'm not going to share in your outrage. Share my outrage with Francis Scott. Go ahead. No sweat. What was the point of this? Well, should we be outraged? And we about to end. We about to end now. But the outrage by some people they think that the Israelis are God's chosen people. But I'm saying that we're God's chosen people. Some people would say we're African. I'll end with us. I'll start with them. We'll save the best for last. Let me read something from the American Heritage Dictionary. And again, this is a scripture breakdown. We're talking about the selfishness of our own people and how we should get rid of that, because at the end of the day, the nation's not going to save us. The Star Spangled Banner has ties to talking about unaliving Black people. But let's go. Let me see. The American Heritage Dictionary. That's what this is. Let's see. All right. So Jewish people, the children of God, yay or nay? Let's see. All right. It says Jew. I'll read the second definition out of the dictionary. It says a descendant of the Hebrew people. Okay. That's pretty vague. Let's read Jewish. Of concerning or characteristic of the Jews, their customs or their religion. So this doesn't say Jewish people are Jews. It just says of concerning their religion, heritage, which really means people that took on their faith. All right, let me read something out of somebody that's Jewish. So he can't be anti-Semitic because he's Jewish, right? This is Arthur Koestler, who somehow after writing this book, him and his wife were mysteriously, found unalived, and it was told that they unalived themselves after making the book. But that's absolutely, it's Arthur Koestler, the 13th tribe. All right, so let me read this. All right, so there's something, and you guys can look this up as well. It's called the Khazars, and Russian steppes tribesmen. Those are names that you'll start to hear when you start to research and get the true origins of who the Israeli people actually are. All right. This is Arthur Koestler's The 13th Tribe, and I'm on page 14, and I'll try to skim through it to get to the point. That way I don't keep everybody too long. It says, ironically, the last battle in the war, AD 737, ended in a Khazar defeat. So let's pay attention to the Khazars. But by the time impetus of the Muslim holy war was spent, the caliphate was rocked by internal dissension. So the Muslims are coming over, or had the ability at one point in time, but because of things internally, they start to deteriorate. They don't have the same power anymore. It says, and the Arab invaders retraced their steps across the Caucasus without having gained a permanent foothold in the north. They weren't able to gain their foothold in the Caucasus Mountains. So the Caucasus. So this is talking about the Caucasus Mountains. You're hearing the Khazar name mentioned. Let's keep listening. Whereas the Khazars became more powerful than they had previously been. A few years later, probably 740 AD, the king of the Khazars, his court and the military ruling class embraced the Jewish faith, and Judaism became the state religion of the Khazars. Let's get a little more information on who the Khazars are, because it says they embrace the Jewish religion. Matter of fact, hold on. I'm sorry. There's something else I need to read. Let me see, because I want to get one thing clear. Let me see. There's more to read, but let me get this. All right. It says this talking about this information about them being the Khazars, because I had to skip over some stuff. It says this was written before the full extent of the Holocaust was known. So he's saying this information was written before they ever knew how bad the Holocaust was. It says, but that does not alter the fact that the large majority of surviving Jews, Jewish people, in the world is of Eastern European, they're talking about the descent of them, and thus perhaps mainly of Khazar origin. So if you wonder why you have Caucasian looking people who say they are Jewish, it's because at one point in time, these people were Khazars. They were from the Caucasus, and their military leaders in their state made Judaism their state's primary religion. It says, and perhaps thus mainly of Khazar origin. So they are the Khazars. If so, this would mean that their ancestors, and again, this is somebody who is Jewish, who was saying this, and he thought he was doing something good. What he thought he was going to do was end anti-Semitism. What he thought he was going to do was say, we're white too. But that defeats the whole purpose of them having power and saying they're people of the book and having rights to a land. They got to quiet you up when you do that. That's why it looks like you have, and this is just conjecture because it wasn't proven. That's why it looks like you and your wife had a suicide together. All right. It says, if so, this would mean that their ancestors came from the Jordan, but from the Volga or Salakia. Let me reread that. If so, this would mean that their ancestors came not from the Jordan, but from the Volga. So not like the actual Jews that came from the Jordan, but they came from the Volga, something around the Caucasus. Not from Canaan, but from the Caucasus. once believed to be the cradle of the Aryan race, and genetically they are more closely related to the Hun, the Ugar, and the Magyar tribes than the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's saying his people are closer to being of European descent than they are being the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Who was the promise made to?
Abraham, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
They weren't, so they're not the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they in the Holy Land, throwing Arabs out of the country and knocking the turbans off their head. Good night. Should this turn out to be the case, then the term anti-Semitism would become void of meaning based on a misapprehension shared by both the killers and their victims. The story of the Khazar Empire, as it slowly emerges from the past, begins to look like the cruelest hoax which history has ever perpetrated. What he's saying is the people that are mad at Kanye about him making a song glorifying Hitler are not actually the chosen people of the book, but what they are people who have taken the religion of those people. All right, let me get one more book and then we'll get ready to end it. All right, so this is another book. This is Chosen People of the Caucasus. This is written by Michael Bradley. You can see him on the back of the book. You can see his face. A lot of people might say that, if I wouldn't have mentioned that he was Jewish, Eastern European descent, he was possibly a Hebrew Israelite. That's what they would have thought if I would have read the words without explaining. And neither is Michael Bradley. Michael Bradley is, a Caucasian man, from the United States who decided to, write about the Khazars in his book. All right, let me see. All right, so I don't want to go too deep, but it says the lecturer also pointed out, so they're mentioning things about Caucasians and how the Jewish people are the most aggressive out of all the Caucasians on the earth.
Right.
They're pretty much saying, like we say, they're the chief tribe. The resources are mainly going to go to them. The power, the influence, the media control is going to go to them. The lecturer also pointed out that the vast majority of contemporary Jews, the Jewish people, have no historical or genetic relationship to ancient Palestine at all. But aren't they throwing the Palestinians out?
Absolutely.
I'm not saying the Palestinians belong there, but I'm saying that these people don't belong there either. Most of them are descendants of Russian steppe tribesmen who converted to Judaism in mass around 740 AD. Isn't that the same thing that the other guy said? Yeah. Being of highly aggressive Caucasoid genetic stock, and these particular Caucasoids, the Khazars, the Russian steppe tribesmen, were very aggressive.
Right. They
They were smart to take on the Jewish religion because that way they didn't have to bow down to Christianity and they didn't have to bow down to what's the term? You got Christians, Muslims. What's the term that we but Muslim, there's a different way to say Muslims because you have Christianity and then you have the Muslim faith, which is called something else, but it just escapes my mind how to say it. But it doesn't matter. It says descendants of Russian steppe tribesmen who converted to Judaism in mass around 740 AD. That's the same thing that was said in the 13th tribe. Being of highly aggressive Caucasoid genetic stock, modern Jews could be expected to be highly aggressive in consequence. Islam, there we have it. Thank you. Islam and Christianity. They didn't have to bow down to either. Now, the Khazar conversion origin of most modern Jewry is a fact discovered by Jewish scholars and a fact accepted by almost all Jewish scholars. All right, let me see. Let me try to get if I can skip down. I might just skip over it and just read the last part. Yeah, I might just go ahead and skip down, but that pretty much sums it up. The people, I just wanted to point out, we need to stick together because we are the children of the book. Kanye shouldn't be concerned with his own, rivalry with this group of people. After a certain point, they're going to wear you down. So, are black people Africans?
Nope.
Are we the children of the book?
Yes.
I believe that to be true as well, because it is. Let me go ahead and get it real quick. Let me see. I normally keep that in a let's see, I'll just skip on over. HIJ. I know exactly where to go. If y'all could bear with me. And if you have a chance, these books over time might become more and more expensive as they do, have information in them that is contrary to what we are supposed to believe. As well as that, when you look into a lot of these, books that are not in the curriculum for your average American school, you'll see that there's things in here, especially this one, that say that these people, the small hats, are inordinately represented in making our curriculum. So certain historical facts that these books are going to bring out are not going to be told because these people that are mad at Kanye, they get to decide our curriculum. But let's read. So this is Ham. This I'm going to read to you. This is the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. All right. And we'll read about Ham. We'll see if we're African, because Ham is the forefather of the Africans. He was one of the sons of Noah. All right. It says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor. What does progenitor mean? Progenitor means like a forefather, the procreator. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negro. Black people are dark. This says that Ham is the progenitor of the dark races, but then it excludes us to let us know that we are not of Ham. It says he is the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negro, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites. So those African people, he's the progenitor of. Let me show you what we are. Let me go to my favorites. It should be in my favorites. Let's see if I got this. I'm shooting from the hip now. Let me see. I wanted to save this so I never had to look it up again. See if I can find it. I might have shot myself in the foot. Let me see. Did I? I might have to look it up, and we can end there as soon as I find it. Let me see. Man, I know I saved that thing. No sweat. All right. So we're going to look up Negro, nigger. It's pretty much the same thing, right? And then we'll end there. Let's see. If you can pull up, I think it's Simon Peter or Simeon. If you can look up Acts 13:1, and then I'll look it up in the Blue Letter Bible, and we'll see. Just this is a little proof that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're the children of Israel. We're not Africans. Acts 13:1, and I'll get it in the Blue Letter Bible.
I'm ready.
All right, you can go ahead and read it.
Khan. This is Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon.
And if you could do me a favor, if you could pronounce it, how they pronounced it for us back in the day when they would read it.
Understood.
That N word. If you could do that for me.
Hard R. As Barnabas and Simeon.
No. They pronounced it as that country.
Oh, okay.
Remember when we were given that word, they pronounced it as Niger.
Oh.
So I want Kaash to read it how they had it to trick us, because I don't know if did you ever hear that verse in church?
Wow.
They said it was pronounced Niger to me. That's what I was told.
Kamakan. As Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger.
So that's what they were told. That's what was told to me. That's what was told to a lot of people. If you ask somebody, they're going to say, no, that's pronounced Niger. But in reality, Simon was called, Barnabas and Simon were called
Niger.
no, nigger.
Nigger.
They were called nigger. I'm going to prove it. This is the Blue Letter Bible. This is the Greek word, and it is G3526. And I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Strong's G 3526. Niger.
That's not Niger, that's nigger. All right. And let's read the usage of it, because it can give you a little. It says Strong's Info, Latin origin. It means black, nigger, a Christian nigger.
A Christian nigger.
That's what it means. So we're not African. If somebody has called us nigger from the time of the biblical times until now, you should know that that is attributed to us being black. It was said to the the prophets in the Bible because they are black, and we should be leaders and feed the sheep. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Looks like there's no questions in the chat. With that being said, I'm gonna pass it off to Priest and Officer Kaash.
Right. This is the ISUPK security announcement. Rules for new brother and sister. When a new brother and sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to learn and share themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if they have an interest in a particular person, they are to seek counsel from the heads. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21, Malachi 3, 8 through 10, Ma'ashra. It means a tenth in Hebrew, 10% of every penny of every increase that the Lord gives you. Priest fund is a funeral offering for the priest. It's not mandatory. Whatever amount you like to give. Upcoming holy holiday is a feast of first fruits. Now, stay tuned. Check in with ISUPK, ISUPK on all social media platforms. You know what I mean? If any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, he should start wearing black boots, pants, headband, and scarf. With that, Amijah, which means to stand. Men of Israel will give a courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Amijah Shabbat, Amijah, Barak,
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakathum.
Yashmatah, hands down. Sar, we turn to face the sisters. Sisters, stand. Amijah. Men of Israel will give a courtesy salute. Amijah Shabbat, Amijah, Barak,
Yahweh Shamar Alathun Ba'Shem Yahushua.
Yashmatah, class dismissed. I got a good church speaking. I say church. I got a